The important thing about the IGP is that it researches, designs and delivers quality of life for people and planet. We have a fantastic team, and if you join the IGP, you'll be part of that team. But let's talk a little bit more about what we actually do. One of the first things we developed in the IGP was a group of young millennial entrepreneurs, and we called them Fast Forward 2030. Because their job was to develop new business models, new ways of approaching entrepreneurship and delivering business solutions that were in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. We work with local communities to solve problems, identify challenges, work out what policy solutions can be, and then we return that information to Fast Forward 2030 and we say to them, here in these different places around the globe that we work, these are the really big problems that local people have. And can you solve them? Can you find a business solution that will drive innovation and change and take forward some kind of social value creation for the future? So the IGP runs 3 very special types of collaboration, and we call them the Prosperity Co-laboratories, or PROCOL for short. And we have a PROCOL UK, a PROCOL Lebanon, which works for the Middle East, and a PROCOL Africa, based in Nairobi. We look to see what we can do to drive policy change, and we work with local actors on the ground. So we mean local authorities, mayors, NGOs, business associations, civil society organisations of all kinds, faith organisations, even national statistical authorities. And what we're doing when we work with them is that we're bringing that diversity of opinion, that diversity of voice, that diversity of interest and values together in our work. The IGP offers 3 very important master's programs, the first of which is one which we call Global Prosperity. You'll be introduced to a new way of thinking about old theories, old ideas, turning them on their heads, really looking to see if they work, if they're still fit for purpose for the 21st century. The IGP also offers a fantastic master's called Prosperity, Innovation and Entrepreneurship. It's taught by a very, very young and entrepreneurial team who themselves have experience from all around the world. You're beginning to understand that entrepreneurship isn't what you thought it was. It isn't the old kind of entrepreneurship. It's a new kind of entrepreneurship. So, for example, how do digital platforms actually create value for ordinary citizens? We know how they create value for Meta, but how do they create value for ordinary citizens? How are we going to use that value to drive social innovation? The third master's program that the IGP offers is Prosperity, People and Planet, and this is really the big challenge of our age. How can we drive for planetary prosperity and also for the future of humanity at the same time? How can we answer that really difficult question of, if the population is growing and we need to feed those people, how can we take more land into the agricultural system when we know that doing that is reducing biodiversity globally? How do we deal with those kinds of trade-offs? But also ask yourself this question, do you actually know what natural capital accounting is? Do you even know whether your own country has a set of natural capital accounts? And if you did know that they had one, and if you did know how to do it, would you know how to use it in the work that you're going to do after you leave the IGP? These are the kinds of things you're going to learn as we prototype prosperity for people and planet. One of the most exciting things that's happened in the last year is that young people in the undergraduate community in University College London have started to say that they wanted to have a society for global prosperity. They wanted to be part of the conversation. And this is because the kinds of conversations we're having are inclusive, they're diverse, they pull people in. So we'd like to pull you in. We'd like you to be part of that larger conversation that goes on at the IGP, to debate and discuss how difficult challenges will be faced. And remember that many of the kinds of things that you often learn in university courses are about how do you get out of some of the real problems of the day. But in the IGP, we don't think like that. What we think about is how can we pull you in further to the depths and difficulties of these really big challenges, and then help you to work together with others to find a way to take things forward for everyone, everywhere.